Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and today we're going to have a private one-on-one sesh, sifting through the feedback received from all of our gracious guests over the past 5 months. Oh, that's crazy. We're going to take a moment to digest the top takeaways from 23 episodes. Our guests have taught us so much about mocktails and mixology, all from different perspectives, and those of you who haven't been tuning in the last 23 episodes, I'm going to give you the quick rundown of all of the topics and kind of categories, because Mocktails with Marina is not just like, here's how you make some mocktails and stuff. Here's a mocktail lifestyle. Not at all. This is all about the industry itself of non-alc. And I come from Kava world, specifically, which is technically kava bars have been around in the United States since 2002. So when we talk about non-alc kind of exploding since 2020, that's super awesome. That part of the industry is new, but the concept of a non-alc adult lounge has been around for at least the kava bar, and in plenty other contexts too, but obviously I talk about kava bars a lot specifically because that is my experience. So due to that means that there are so many things that fall under this umbrella, right? Like, as a kava bar owner, as someone who's running that establishment, you're interacting with people from not just kava industries, but you're also, especially nowadays, interacting with people from different CPGs, right? We've got cannabis, we've got Kana, we've got so many different adaptogens, so many different awesome adaptogenic mushrooms. We've got the classic herbs coming in, which is really cool to see. We've got like Wayusa, we've got yerba mate. There's so many cool herbs that are coming into this space, and due to that, at least from my perspective, and those of you who can at least see eye to eye with me, understand that the industry is going in a very specific, it's having a moment right now, right? Non-alc is having its moment for sure. And within that moment, we need to make sure we're doing things very specifically, or else we can shoot ourselves in the foot, right? So all of that being said, I started this podcast talking about laying out the foundations. What is a zero proof lifestyle? What are the foundations of a balanced mocktail? I gave you some behind the scenes of kava bar management and general bar management. Talked about kava bar culture and experiences. We also talked about my previous experience running away with the circus as a nightlife performer and event producer, and how that all factors into, creating the perfect mocktail for a special occasion. What is it like to go on a dry trip, or what's it like to travel, go on vacation without drinking a single drop of alcohol? What's it like living and running a business in Las Vegas? There's so many topics that we've hit, but when we talk about the people that we've interviewed, right, we've talked to a few different CPGs, including Max from Odyssey, Catherine from Parch. We talked to Keith and Jodi of Ceria Brewing. We talked to Ian of All the Bitters. We also went a couple different routes, right? We interviewed 3 different kava tenders and gave you their perspective. So what is it like to, be in the non-alc industry as a server? What are the types of things people talk to you about and need some guidance on? We also, lastly, went to this different category where we talked to different business owners around the space, right? We talked to Charlotte of Leyline Labs. We talked to Heidi and Charles of the Kava and Kettlebells podcast. We talked to Ellie of Dry in the Desert. She does an online bottle shop, and she also runs events around the Phoenix area. We talked to Adrian of Kokoro Health. He is very much here to help you find your flow. And then we also talked to Tracy, a kava bar owner, as well as a yoga studio owner, so a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And through this entire experience, it's been really cool because we've had a consistent 30 to 50 people tuning in during the first 7 days of every episode, with the current total downloads at 963, which is super cool. The reason I'm being super nerdy about this information is because I think we're all learning together, what's kind of going on here in the industry. And this is just someone who, yes, I put some ads on some Instagram posts for people coming to the podcast, but I don't put targeted ads on episodes anymore. I mostly just focus on generally bringing people in and seeing now that there's enough of an episode base where you can kind of go through and select what topic kind of tickles your fancy. And I think that's really cool, because that means that, you know, even if that was just the same 30 to 50 people every single week, which I know isn't the case. I know that there is a little bit more of an expansion around that. It just goes to show that the biggest takeaway that comes from both the listenership and the people we have been talking to, it's all about education. 5 months after starting this podcast, this business, all the things, the main pain points I'm hearing is we need more education. We need more customer education. We need more educational tools. We need more educational groups. We need more educational opportunities. Education. From whatever point of view you're looking at, whether it's the CPGs just trying to figure out how to market their new product in the space, whether it's kava bar owners trying to figure out how to train their staff to do their jobs, getting the accountable crews to get them together to be able to properly be your salesman. No matter what, everybody all around, whether they're working in the industry or just enjoying the benefits of it, everybody wants more education. This is great news to me because obviously, as you guys probably already know, unless this is your first episode, then welcome. But as y'all otherwise know, if you just go to marinamars.com/themodernmocktail, you can tell that over the past 5 months, the only thing that I have been working on is building all of these online educational resources. It started with just the online programs in the background, and then creating workshops and creating a bunch of fun tools, which we're going to get to in a moment. But point of this whole story is I am both excited and ready to get to work on ensuring that we fill as many gaps as possible. The first 23 episodes were an experiment to see, hey, are me and my husband crazy? Like, is this what people need? Like, are we just in our heads, or is this actually a legitimate business model? And all of the data I'm telling you is just proving to me that we are on the right track. So I just want to start off, by really saying here, if you have a crazy dream and you want to do something that's never been, I don't want to say never been done before. It's not like other people don't have opinions on the industry, but specifically being a consultant, creating educational tools, having these both free and paid funnels to be able to go down and learn more about, do it. No matter what your industry is. Even if you're not in this industry, you're just here because you're sober curious, or you're a business owner, but you also have, maybe you have a love of knitting, or maybe, you wanted to open an awesome kava bar because you're also a musician, and now you've just always wanted to create a beautiful space for people to have open mics, or maybe you're a poet and it's the same story. Maybe regardless of, we all have different talents, right? What we do in our daytime is not who we are as our personality. There's lots of things to us. We're all multifaceted. And the more I'm learning personally about myself and how Tyler and I like to run our household, I require multiple revenue streams because sometimes some projects get exhausting. I don't want to do them all the time, or things are always adjusting. The world's changing at a crazy pace, whatever the excuse is. I just like to bop around and do a lot of different things. And because of that, of course we wanted to start with this business going full forward, but now that a lot of things are set up, we can start working on some other fun things around the support structure. So not only creating education, but also creating the platforms for the education to live in, creating the groups and communities for them, for the information to be distributed within. Instead of doing all of our nerd work behind the scenes, we're finally getting it all out there because it took a lot of time to put it together. Point of this story is, this is not the only thing I do. I dance, I do other things, right? But this is just where the energy went. I feel like the same tends to be the case for most people who open non-alc businesses. They're doing it for a reason, right? Why are we interested in non-alc in the first place? There's usually some everybody has such a cool backstory in this industry, and no one bores me. It's just because no one ends up here on accident. And usually there's an incredibly inspiring story that comes with another set of skills that we can't see when we're looking at you from the view of kava bar owner or non-alc space owner, right? We can only see that if you're creating these other revenue streams where we can see and appreciate that. And hey, if we're into kava and we're into music, maybe we'll come to your establishment and join your open mic, or you know what I mean? Or maybe we want to join your, you've been doing that for a while and you've done it successfully. Maybe you want to create an educational resource so that other non-alc establishments can also have that same setup. And maybe you teach them, maybe you even turn it into a revenue stream yourself. Oh my goodness, the world is an even cooler place. Kava bars have even more resources to become even more epic. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm learning. So that's what I'm here to do. Not only to teach you how to, take care of any part of the industry that is giving you any sort of pain, but I'm also here to help you see that through the installation of really specific and precise and intentional foundational systems, like you can genuinely multitask a lot of things. It seems overwhelming at first when it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many things to do, so many things to talk about, or where do I even start? Trust me, I get it. I literally 5 months ago, I had no plan. I think when Tyler and I started, I knew we put together a plan a little bit, and then I get a lot of creative freedom, and then Tyler always supports in all the ways. And so the only thing that we honestly had a vision for was the first 5 episodes, and then after that it was kind of like, okay, the train's going, let's see where the momentum goes. We thought we were going to help a very specific part of the industry at first, and then it turns out there were so many people that came our way that were brand new to the industry, and which is amazing. We just wanted to up-level who was already here, but it turns out a lot of people who aren't even in the industry yet want to learn about it. So welcome new listeners, welcome new people to the non-alc and kava space. I'm so excited that you're here. We want to make as many resources as possible. So all of that being said, here are some more takeaways specifically, because we're like, education. Yeah, okay. Well, what education? What are the specific pain points that we need to educate on right now? Number 1, as always, you've already heard me talk about it, proper serving sizes. We need to just do more, make more fact sheets, more, back-end kava tender training. And by the way, when I say kava tender and you're not in the kava industry, please understand, like I mentioned, kava came before all this non-alc stuff. So if I say the word kava tender, I mean non-alc server. I'm already using outdated terminology, which is just wild to me. But just please forgive and update as necessary to fit your business's needs if you're kind of listening in for that purpose. So next topic that was brought up was lack of proper menu setup in order to bring the customer through an actual educational experience. And I've seen this for myself quite a bit, so it was really relieving for me to hear from multiple people that and multiple perspectives that this genuinely is something that we should all take a little bit more time and effort into, right? Like it's one of those things where you can have a beautiful recipe. And in fact, I want to mention most people that I work with, like most businesses that I create menu designs for nowadays, most of them have incredible recipes. I haven't actually had to do as much recipe refinement as I had initially thought that this journey would take us on. What happened was, it turns out most businesses just don't know how to talk about what they do. Like, they're nerds, like they're so good at what they do, but when it comes to actually talking to people, unless they have 10 minutes to explain the whole thing, it goes over their heads and it doesn't work. And that's why I'm here, trying to help with menu design. I'm going to get more into the tools I've created for this in a second, but I just want to mention that the last pain point that really was apparent to me through all of this is early phase business setup is something that's very common right now, right? Because it's like a booming industry. Non-alc is having a moment, right? So that means that all of these startups are in startup mode. So yeah, if you want to order a can of a brand new hot product on the market, I'm sorry, but you're going to have some patience because they're still setting up their infrastructure. They don't even know if their websites or emails are perfectly working right. They don't even, like, they're still working on it. They're building it out. They're literally in the process of putting this all together for you. All you see is their social media posts once a day or whatever. Maybe you get an email campaign from them. So you don't get to see all the stuff they're doing behind the scenes. But everybody who's in this early phase of the industry is also going through the pain point of being an early phase entrepreneur. Even if it's your fourth, fifth venture, it doesn't matter. It's your first venture in kava. So therefore it does bring you to that. But number two, you're in this new moment in society that hasn't quite happened before. I mean, literally this week, as of this recording, I'm recording on June 3rd, 2024. Last week, I remember seeing the headline that said that cannabis's daily intake for Americans has finally surpassed alcohol for the first time in like history, right? Ever in the United States. I can guarantee that. That's insane. You guys, we are living in a historic moment. I get goosebumps every time I think about it. When I first heard it, though, I was like, I'm jaded. I'm a jaded woman who's been hoping and praying for this for years. And, you know, I think it's so cool. But is it just one? I don't trust anything in the world. I'm very skeptical until you prove things to me, unless it's a very faith-based thing. But when it comes to business, I very much deal in reality for specifically like marketing. So if someone's trying to tell me, and I've said this a lot on social media, so I want to make sure I triple dog say it over here. Like, I don't believe that 94% of people who drink non-alc stuff don't drink or still drink alcohol. Like, it's garbage. It's an absolute garbage statement. And I repeated it on LinkedIn. I repeated it on Instagram. I got in fights on both platforms, and I don't even care. I'm going to say it again. And in fact, you can't even turn my microphone off. I'm just going to find another one and say it louder. I think it's wrong. And I can guarantee it's wrong because every time I have a conversation with an actual kava bar owner, an actual business owner of a brick and mortar, I'm not talking these brands that don't even exist in person. They like, as in they don't have, like, all of their workers are all over the place. Like, it's just a brand concept that they send to a third party distributor to make all the things happen, you know? Like, the people who are in the field can see it clear as day. A lot of people are triggered by these non-alcoholic cocktails that taste exactly like alcohol. Like, you're missing the point. Why are we trying to advertise towards people who are not even interested in us? That sounds like when you're young and you're like trying to date and then you go for the bad boy instead of the person who's actually good for you. Like, why in the hell would I market towards people who still drink alcohol? They don't get it. The perceived value is going to go right over their head. They just care that they're getting fucked up in some way, shape, or form. And even if people who are moderate drinkers, I'm so sorry if I'm making you feel some stingy sort of way, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like any amount of putting a carcinogen like alcohol in your body is a good idea. That being said, I know no one's perfect. I eat sugar. Like, there's definitely some products on the market that I need more help quitting, right? Point of the story, though, is I'm done allowing anybody to market and kid themselves into thinking that we're playing the same game, because we're not. And ironically and hilariously enough, all of these functional beverages are just gateway drugs to sobriety anyways. So jump on board. I'm done. I'm not trying to play nice here when it comes to this kind of marketing technique, because here's the thing. It's going to shoot you in the foot every time. If you're not focused on the function that you're providing people, if you're not focused on the experience that you're putting people through, then what are you doing? Right? Most people who are opening non-alc establishments, we should all be on the same page that this is a wellness establishment. We're not trying to create divey, like, strip club non-alc places. Like, that's not a thing. And if it was, that wouldn't even make sense. And I'm saying that as someone who has literally, for anybody who doesn't know my backstory, like, when I say I ran away with the circus, I was a burlesque dancer. Like, I was a dancer. Like, I worked at clubs, I worked at circuses, I worked at bars, I worked at gay clubs, I worked at, like, weird art establishments, I've worked at festivals, you name it. So when I say these things, I don't mean it to not come from my experience. Anytime I talk very, like, I'll go back to a lecture Marina mode. And then sometimes I get real spicy. It's because I've seen things and I've experienced things. You know, the other day I was just sitting on the couch with my husband and we were just, you know, sitting on Instagram doing some research for our business. And he had pulled up a kava bar Instagram and the stories were filled with, I mean, shit I hadn't seen since I was doing burlesque. And it kind of shocked me, to be honest with you. I don't think the two mixed. I don't care if that's an unpopular opinion or not. I don't think it makes sense. And I just looked at it and I looked at him and I was like, I don't need to see any more of that, because that's not the market. That's not the type of person I'm trying to help. Like, I don't want to help grow that kava bar, to be honest with you, because I specifically left the shenanigans that alcohol and that entire drug lifestyle I left that behind. I came to the kava bar to be sober, not to be around all of that at all. And so all of this is to say that there are clearly some resources and some blind spots on management that need to be addressed, and more education is going to continue. So really all of these takeaways have just really doubled down everything that my husband and I are working on and want to do. So you're going to hear a lot more fun things coming your way, a lot more fun, spicy opinions, as well as methodologies, really. You know, sometimes I use the word opinion and I forget that methodology is a little bit more specific to the process, right? So it's not an opinion for me to say what processes I've created have yielded real life results. And there have been a few times in my past, and I may have even said it in the first 23 episodes, where I may have been soft on saying things are my opinion or this, that, or the other. And I want to stand up for my past self and also my future self, because I'm sure I'll have a hard time there. Sometimes it's easy to soften ourselves in this industry for people because it's so new that you tiptoe around and you're trying to still get to know the players and you don't want to offend people. But at the same time, you don't want to just go around selling your soul again and doing shit that you don't believe in, because that was the whole reason we left alcohol. That was the whole reason we left everything we did before. So it would just be the definition of crazy for me to do the same thing twice. And therefore, the unfilteredness comes out. I hope that resonates for you too. In any way, shape, or form. It's very easy to feel blocked, especially after the cancel culture garbage that infiltrated in the 2010s and really made things more difficult to stand up for what you believe in. But I feel like if you're in the non-alc space in general and you're here to do things that are good for people, you have to consider what that means from a holistic perspective. And if you're just trying to bring things in that imitate all the things we used to do back when we drank alcohol in bars, are you really helping us at all? Or are you just kind of acting like some sort of crutch or some sort of almost a tantalizing tease to go back? You almost make me want to relapse. But you know me, I'm not going to bring up a problem unless I can also bring you a solution, or at least a promise to a path to a solution. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the tools that I have created, and I'm also continuing to create to not only take care of some of these gaps we've discussed in this episode, but also if there's anything ever that I say that you're like, what did you mean by that? What makes you feel that way? What brought you to that conclusion? I want to encourage you to send me an email, hello@marinamars.com. I thrive on feedback. I love feedback. I love to hear, what things you want me to hear about or talk about, what things you want me to deeply expand on. And even if you incredibly disagree with me on something, but you still want to learn more and talk more about it, these are the things that only grow the industry and are great for us. These conversations need to happen no matter how uncomfortable or weird or whatever you might feel about it. The whole point is I am here to stay. I am here to continue to speak in as many microphones as I need to get to the bottom of everything. So if there's anything that made you feel any type of way, reach out so that we can get through it together. Let's talk about some tools now, for real. Okay, so let's start with workshops. So one of the pieces of feedback I received was that there needs to be more free workshops, free kind of resources available for people who are in that startup phase. while I totally understand the sentiment of where that's coming from, because I think that it's horrible to gatekeep some very critical information, I also understand why there needs to be a paywall behind other pieces of information. So all of that being said, Tyler and we decided to redesign the structure of the company so that anytime we have workshops, the live session, that is free. So if you want to come to the live session, it's always going to be free. If you want the recording of that session is going to be a $37 recording. Why? Well, because if you don't have money, then you have to have time. Those are the two resources in business that make the world go round, right? So if you don't have money, you have time. If you have time, that means you can give me your time. You can show up live. You can't show up live? You can't show up on my time? Okay, well then you can give money. And the reason we do this, I know it doesn't sound wonderful to say, but there's a lot that goes into putting these resources together on my end. But for you, when it comes to actually showing up, how many free things do you have in your inbox right now that are just rotting away? I can guarantee there's hundreds, if not thousands, that you may have even forgotten about. Maybe at this point, you signed up for them so long ago, they're rotting away in your spam folder, right? But the moment you pay for something, it makes you accountable. It makes you want to show up, or else you've wasted something. If it's free, you've wasted nothing, right? That mindset shift is enough to make you to show up. So all of that being said, I understand that $37 a recording can also be steep, especially for people who are like, but I have a day job. I can't do that. What do you mean? I don't know how to do things. Well, then I created the all access pass. It's $37 a month where you get all the recordings of that month and prior, and every single live session that's coming up. The Zoom link is instantly added to your all access pass, and there's other perks in there that are just banger. So point of the story is, no matter what the price point is, we made sure to create live experiences that can fit any of those budgets, even if it's just a one-off little topic to kind of just breathe some life support into your business. Because, you know, no great change is going to happen in one day, but I can help you get a cash injection in a day. I can help you, with little tinkers here and there in a day. So just enough tinkers here and there just to get you to the point where you can afford the deeper dives, or you can afford those one-on-one sessions. Everything that we do, we design it's not just a business about making money. It's about what can we do to motivate everybody to genuinely rise together. Because the thing is, I haven't received a single refund request. I haven't received a single piece of feedback that was negative, to be honest with you. The only feedback that we've gone through in any sort of programs or behind the scenes has been just a couple little technical glitches here and there. So something to glean there, that everybody is happy, hungry, and ready to learn, and we have all of that information for you. So speaking of workshops, in the month of June, our theme here is all about seasonal menus, and it just menus really in general, but I really like to talk about seasonal menus right now because, first off, a seasonal menu is a cash injection campaign. It can also be a transformative education-based strategy that helps you convert at a higher rate so you can increase your average ticket size, right? So seasonal menus is the first workshop that's actually happening on Wednesday, in 2 days of this recording going live. And then pricing strategies is the following week. So we're going to help your customers better value you and what you have to offer, not only through education, but also like the way that we display our offers, like the way that we actually choose to price them. Lastly, the third workshop is all about the graphic design itself. So yes, I'm going to talk through some Canva 101, but I'm also going to talk a lot of sales psychology. My husband and I have spent so much time going to many different restaurants, taking pictures, and honestly, it's like, as much as I love food and I love drinks, it's like the menu and the ordering process is just as fun for me. Okay, let's be real, I love eating, so that's probably the most fun part, but like, we have been taking pictures of hundreds of menus over the years, and we've been doing so many things to put together this like methodology, right? And all of that is to say that each of these workshops is a little crumb, like a little bite size of our overall functional mixology method, but they are laser focused topics that, like I mentioned, can at least help you make a tinker in the day. It adds something to your to-do list for this week to make a change for this week, and then we can talk about how to build on it. Everything is meant to be in succession. So like I mentioned, if all of these bite-sized pieces are kind of parts of the whole functional mixology method, what is the functional mixology method? So this is going to be the next program that we're coming out with. And the goal is for this program it's basically designed to help hospitality businesses create non-alc beverage menus that not only defy the typical slow seasons, but also drive financial and functional success. So it teaches you and introduces you to our 4-step signature menu creation method. And that focuses on unique design and storytelling for engaging and distinctive menus, holistic herbalism for balanced offerings, smart sourcing and pricing strategies for cost efficiency, and effective education techniques for staff and consumers. So this also includes things like menu launch parties. This includes, how do you put your menus together? How do you put your recipes together? How do you design your space in your menu to bring in the maximum amount of sales, not only by volume, but also by ticket size? So this comprehensive program aims to transform how venues conceptualize and offer these non-alc drinks, turning them into profitable and popular menu items year-round. So if you serve alcoholic beverages, no worries, these methodologies and basic design principles still apply to you. However, like I mentioned, I'm not here for the alcohol space, to be honest. I am so excited for the introduction of, non-alc into the traditional bar space as well. I'm very much here for that. I just personally don't make the alcoholic beverages. All of that being said, the functional mixology method basically works as not only a 5-module online course, but it also includes one-on-one session with me where I go through the entire menu design with you, and I either tinker it with you, I offer suggestions, have a conversation with you, whatever your needs are surrounding the concept of the functional mixology method. Like, this consultation session is for you. So all of that being said, this was created out of the direct feedback that was received. And I want to continue to do that for you. So I'm going to close out this episode with one final resource that is available right now. And I'm going to make sure that the link is in the description, so you can just go ahead and click it. And I officially just launched it today. It's officially the Printable Botanical FAQ Sheets. So what this is it is a PDF download. It has over 30 downloadable and printable FAQ sheets that you can display, you can hand out, you can place along the bar. The goal is for these sheets to educate your customers on the value of each of the active functional ingredients in your selection of modern day mocktails. So for example, if you're at a kava bar, you probably serve kava, kratom, and cannabis, right? Cannabis coming in forms of CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9, some places have functional mushrooms, you've got your classic herbs as well. All of that and more is included in this downloadable and printable fact sheet PDF. And you have all the rights when you download it to go and bring it to the printer. Now, I do want to mention that there is a little ad in the back of it that does mention that for a small little additional fee, I am happy to redesign it in your branding, and even send you a branded file. There are plenty of different ways I can help you, but that's definitely one of them, because that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback. People just wanted little quick fact sheets on the bar and have it explain what it needs to explain. The hardest part about knowing what's supposed to go on those kinds of pieces of paper is you don't want to say something wrong that makes the FDA mad at you. You don't want to go against the DSHEA guidelines, right? Like, you don't want to say anything and make it sound like you're a medical professional just to turn around and get sued, right? We want to make sure as business owners we're putting out information that makes sense, can be reliable, and can be, something that empowers people to do further research, but isn't the holy grail of information. Does that make sense? I'm going to re-say that in one other way. So, for example, if you are saying, believe me, about this fact about this plant because I know all about plants. That's proof by intimidation, right? That also leaves you legally liable because you said you as source of information is the reason people should feel safe consuming your product. That's technically illegal, right? We got to make sure that we always mention things in ways that says, hey, here's some information in general that is generally regarded as safe. Here's the general information that people agree on upon these things. But at the end of the day, we, have the disclaimers that, encourage you to do your own research. So I made those sheets. Again, those of you who haven't heard my backstory, there was a 4-year period where I worked for a lab, a nutritional chemistry lab, and I wrote SOPs on the testing process. So basically to ensure everything on your nutrition label is correct and verified. I wrote a lot of that. I worked alongside the FDA to ensure that a lot of baby formulas were safe. So I know the process pretty well. And hey, I've worked in baby drinks. I've worked in adult drinks, What drinks have I not worked in at this point? So the point of that story is I know that these fact sheets were made in a way that are, very comfortable for you, to ensure that, you can give your customers information about your offerings without putting yourself at risk in any way, shape, or form. So I've got you on that. The link for that is also in the description. You can also visit marinamars.com/themodernmocktail for more information on literally everything I brought up in today's episode. So if there are any topics that we have discussed that you want to dive deeper on, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here for everybody. Now, when I say I'm here for everybody, here's what I mean. If you are a business owner that wants to genuinely create a third space that is non-alcoholic, whether that third space is classified as a kava bar, a tea lounge, a bottle shop, whatever you want to call it, a garage that also has cool drinks, whatever it is, so long as your goal is to help people and, be aware of the sober curious people who are coming in, who all come from different backgrounds, have suffered different traumas, have different vernacular, different triggers. You're going to deal with a lot of weird, hard human shit here. Straight up. This isn't a polite industry. This isn't coffee where you just smile and nod and walk away. You're dealing with people who are at the ends of their rope sometimes. And we shove it under the rug because it's not pretty. It's not a pretty marketing term to talk about it. But if this is something that genuinely speaks to you, and even if you still consume alcohol here and there, I'm not trying to sit here and say, that 1 ounce of alcohol is going to ruin everything. Look, I've had plenty of alcohol in my life. I know where I'm at, and I know where most people who want to hang out in these spaces are at. This isn't a judgment on any person ever or any business owner. In fact, I'm here to help you bridge the gap of understanding between what it's like to serve someone who's genuinely trying to figure out what sobriety is and, serving someone who doesn't, quite frankly, care about their health. This is a very different sales game. It's literally the difference between the angel and the devil on your shoulder. And, whatever your belief system is, I think that this metaphor still applies because, they don't call them spirits for nothing. Alcohol, and we already know it's a carcinogen, right? So oftentimes when we look at the way that marketing campaigns and the way that bars are run, they're going to resemble the choices that the devil would make instead of the angel on the shoulder in this analogy, right? So why would we try and copy and paste something that's literally on the opposite side of the scale? So no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, I got you. As long as you want to create a safe space, a safe oasis for that intersection of sobriety, that's what's important. It's so important to not brush these hard to talk about topics underneath the table, because the thing is, eventually, someday, someone's going to walk into your business and have an experience that teaches you the hard way about it. And I don't mean that as a threat. I don't mean that you're not going to be successful if you're, not doing exactly a certain formula. But what I'm saying is empathy and compassion need to be at the forefront of your business, period. So long as you have that and the ability to listen to people's story, understand their pain points, and then be able to say, hey, fellow human, brother, sister, friend, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for choosing this space to help you feel better. I'm absolutely going to make you the best drink for you right now. I serve the drink. They enjoy the drink. I ask them, hey, how was it? How are you feeling? What are you going to do next in your day? I make sure as that server that by time they walk out, they feel better than when they walked in. If that describes you, I am so happy to say you are going to be successful in this industry. Just keep focused on remembering that. Make sure that you are very clear on your North Star, how you want to help people, and then everything else will fall into place. If you need help with any of the technical details along the way, the mindset, the methodologies, that's what I'm here for. But at the end of the day, you've got this. I'm just a support system. I'm just here to provide tools and resources when you ask for them, when you need them, and do what we can to better this industry and actually serve the people who we're coming in and claiming to care about, right? So this might have been a little bit of an accountability session for some people. It could have been more of a hallelujah episode for others. Regardless of where you stand on that spectrum, I am so thankful that you tuned in this week to listen to this very special and intimate one-on-one session. We're going to have a few more of these. I think I'm going to turn it more into a healthy balance of solo and interview style podcast. But of course, I'm always open to your feedback. So if anything comes up, please make sure you send me an email, hello@marinamars.com. Any podcasting platform you're tuning in on, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could leave me a 5-star, little review, little rating. Those things go really far for little small businesses like the Modern Mocktail. So we really appreciate you and hope you have a great rest of your week. As always, if you need anything, just let me know.